Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be making my October bullet journal theme. And before we talk about the journal, I have to address the obvious, is that I'm in a new space. If you guys missed my last YouTube video, you should definitely go check it out. It's my September journal with me, and in that video, I talked about how I was moving, and I actually moved to New York. As a lot of you guys know, I'm originally from Virginia, so I moved out of state. I'm living with my boyfriend in a new apartment, and this is my new office space. I did say in that video that at one point I do want to do a little office or apartment tour, but we're not really done decorating everything yet, so I am waiting a little bit to do that. But this is your little sneak peek of my office space, which I'm really excited to show you once I finish getting everything set up in here. And in addition to that, the acoustics in this room are really bad right now because I don't have a lot of furniture in here. So I'm hoping to get the sound quality a little bit better, as well as the video quality, because I have a big window over here and I need to put a curtain up so that the lighting isn't so weird. Anyway, this video will be a little bit messy until then, but I'm really excited to show you my October bullet journal anyway. As you guys know, October is my favorite month of the year. Not only is Halloween in October, which is my favorite holiday and always has been, but my birthday is also in October. My birthday is October 1st, so I've always loved October for those celebrations, and just because fall is like the best time of year. So in the years past, I've done a lot of October, fall, Halloween themed bullet journal themes. I always love to do something that's a little bit spooky, a little bit Halloween adjacent. For example, last year I did Clue, and this year is going to be no different. I wanted to do a really iconic Halloween theme. So this year, my October theme is going to be Over the Garden Wall. I realize that a lot of you watching this video might not know about Over the Garden Wall because it's a pretty niche thing. So if you've never heard of it, Over the Garden Wall was a limited cartoon TV series on Cartoon Network that came out in 2014. It follows these two brothers, Wirt and Greg, as they go on this little adventure in the woods. It's an amazing show. I heard about it a lot when I was younger, but I never watched it until maybe the pandemic. My boyfriend and I watched it together for Halloween one year, and that watch made me understand why so many people are obsessed with this show. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend. It's funny, it's beautiful, it has the perfect fall vibes. It's a little bit spooky, but it's not scary, so you can definitely watch it with kids too. And it's honestly just really heartwarming. Like, I feel like a lot of people refer to it as like their comfort thing to watch during the fall, and I totally understand that. And this year, I think my boyfriend and I are going to do a rewatch of it in October. I have a really weird and fun idea for my divider page, which is always like my biggest artistic spread. So I will describe that when I show you my sketches for the pages, but it's something that I've never done before and it's a little bit interactive. So I feel like it will be really cool. Before we get started showing you my sketches and what I'm actually going to do in the journal, I am going to do a little inspiration section where I show you some of my references. I did make a little bit of a Pinterest board for this journal theme, but most of what I pinned was just reference images of the characters because I knew I wanted to draw the actual characters on the pages. But the reason why I wanted to do a Pinterest board for this also is because I was interested in doing a little bit of a mixed media moment. So I knew I wanted the characters to look the way they do in the show, which is like with black line art, very flat colors, the way that I do with markers all the time, and then the backgrounds in a little bit more of a painterly texture. So I did pin a lot of fan art on my Pinterest board because I feel like the Over the Garden Wall fan art just goes crazy. People are so talented and people find the most beautiful artistic way to illustrate these characters. So I'll put a couple of my favorite of the fan arts that I pinned on the screen now. Like I said before, I also pinned a bunch of just character references from the show, so I'll put a bunch of those on the screen, as well as some lettering from the show, like the title cards. They're really cute too, so I put those on my Pinterest board. And then the last thing that I pinned was a couple of like prop like things that I like to draw. I feel like every time I do like a TV show or movie spread, like when I did SpongeBob, I always like to have little small things from the show to doodle onto like the next pages that I do off camera, like throughout the month, like on my to-do list pages. So I think with that, it's time to show you all of my sketches. So you can head on over to my desk to see what that was like. Hey everyone, I have the most insane idea. One of the most insane ideas I've ever had for my bullet journal to do for the divider page, and I'm so excited to show you. I tried to explain this to my boyfriend last night and he did not understand what I meant, so I'm gonna try and describe it. So my idea is to draw Wirt and Greg. And as you can tell, I have separated two pages for the divider page because I'm gonna draw them on this page, which I have already done here. And I'm going to cut around their silhouettes, but still keep them attached to the book. So the page will still be able to flip back and forth. I'm gonna draw the fronts of their bodies on this side, cut it out, and then draw the backs of their bodies on this side of the paper. So I'm gonna do the background on each of these pages that my hands are on is going to be continuous. So it's gonna be like one path that kind of loops in towards the eye of the viewer. and then it kind of goes back out this way. So basically it's going to be like you can flip it back and forth and it's like they're walking to you or away from you depending on which way the page is flipped. I don't know if I can execute this or if it's going to look good, but I'm just going to try. My other thought with this is that I want this side of the page to be kind of like warm and like the beautiful bright autumn colors, and as it goes into the second page it's going to get a lot darker, like they're walking into the dark forest with the beast in it. I think what I need to do now is cut it out, and I'm really nervous about this, so I actually think I'm going to do it off camera, but I'll show you the technique that I think I'm going to do. I actually just did this yesterday in my junk journal, kind of as a test run for this, and it did work kind of well. I have this cutting mat. This is from Cricut, and I basically am going to put this underneath here and use an X-Acto knife to cut around the characters. And then on some of the bigger areas I might just use scissors, but like for some of these small areas I want to be very precise, and then I'm just going to cut like right along the seam between like where the flap is going to be that they're held onto. On this page I have the scissors that I want to draw. It's just going to say October, and I think I'm going to do an autumnal gouache painterly background on this one. And then I wanted to draw one of the big pumpkin people. I think this one's name is Enoch. So I think I'm just going to draw big character, and it's going to say beware the autumn people, which is famous autumnal quote by Ray Bradbury. I haven't done any sketches for my habit tracker or moments pages yet, but I will come to that after I do this, because this is my big hurdle for today. So I will see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. Actually, that only took like 45 seconds. I literally turned the camera off. It took like 2 seconds. So it actually looks really cute. I feel like I should have made this flap a little bit bigger, but I might reinforce with tape or something. But I think what I'm gonna do now is do the line art for my little characters here. Oh wait, it looks really good though. Like I feel like it's gonna look cool. Well, it better look cool. Okay, let me do line art. So after I finished my cartoon sections, I moved into using my gouache paints. I've talked about these before in plenty of my videos that have involved painting before, but my gouache paints are from Winsor & Newton, which I feel like is a little bit of a higher end brand. You don't need nice paints, especially I don't even need nice paints. I really am not an expert with painting at all. And as you can tell here, I have no strategy when it comes to mixing colors. I'm really just like going with the flow, painting by eye, like mixing colors by whatever I feel like looks good. But I did decide to do for all of my backgrounds, I kind of wanted them to be similar. So I did this kind of like neutrally beigey, greeny background, which I feel like is kind of a mush, like what one of my college professors would call like an avocado mush color, which is just like a bleh, like a brown green, which I feel like works for a lot of, I don't know, naturey backgrounds. I did that as the background color for my calendar header, my moments header, the background of my illustration page, and for most of the background of my divider page, and I feel like it works really well. It's just a base to work off of because I wanted to go in and add a bunch of these trees. If you guys remember in my November 2023 bullet journal theme, which was my Gilmore Girls theme, I talked about how painting trees and drawing trees is like my biggest nightmare as an artist. I feel like it's the one thing that I like don't know how to do. So this one was definitely a challenge for me, and I feel like I actually conquered my fear a little bit. Like, I actually like the way these trees turned out. They're very fluid and painterly, and I feel like these, like the style of leaves that I'm adding right here on the page, I feel like that really adds to the look. It just like makes it look, I don't know, a lot more intentional. And I actually really like how the trees turned out. I wanted to do that page first because I knew that the divider page was going to be a lot scarier for me to do, and it was. You can tell here that I didn't even film the beginning of putting down the initial like wash of color on the page because I was just like too stressed. But I only used 2 brushes for this whole thing. I probably should have used a bigger brush to do the backgrounds, but after that, it was really just doing layers and layers and layers of paint to do all of the different elements on the page. So as you can tell here, I did the wash in the background, and then I was kind of going over with different shades of browns and greens to define that path that they were walking on. And then I went in and started doing trees. Oh, and of course I did the beast in black because I knew I wanted that to really stand out with the white eyeballs as well. For the trees, I was really just pulling more saturated colors, so I did some brighter oranges, some darker browns, and just doing layers and layers of lines and lines and lines. I really wanted it to look like there was a lot of depth, like you could look through and there are different layers of trees. So I did some really lighter washes of like really thin lines in the background to look like trees that were further away. And then as they got closer to like where you're viewing it, they get a little bit darker. I don't know. I like how it looks. The thing that I knew that I really needed to do to make this like little interactive flap work was to paint the outline border behind like each of the characters, because when it was just white, I was like, that looks so stupid. Like, I need to fill it in. And trying to match the layers of color that were already on the pages when I was painting in this little border, it was very, very hard to match all of the colors, and it doesn't look perfect all the time. But at least I feel like what I did makes it blend in more, which was my goal. And then I also added in right behind Wirt's hat, I like put the outline of a C on it also because I didn't like how the hat covered up the entire letter C on the divider page header. I feel like it looked really weird. And then I realized that I didn't do any leaves on this page, and when I did these little leaves, I feel like it really tied it all together. And to do that, I'm really just pressing the brush onto the page just like the head of the brush, and it makes the perfect leaf shape. For my habit tracker and my moments page, I wanted to do something a lot more simple, and like I was talking about in the intro, just drawing some characters or little props from the show. So here I'm drawing the bird Beatrice from the show. She was like always one of my favorite characters. She's so cute. And then on the moments page, I drew the cassette tape from the show, and I feel like all of these things like really just come together and they look so cute. And I tried to use marker colors that kind of matched the colors from the other pages because this one had a lot less area to paint on. I did do a little painted background behind the moments header, but I feel like trying to tie in with the colors made it look cohesive anyway, even though I feel like it's hard to get these pages to tie into the rest of them just because they don't like have much space to work with, you know? But I did the same technique of adding layers of leaves and just background colors here. Okay, hey everyone. I ended up finishing all of my pages, and it's time to show you the final reveal. Here is my gorgeous divider page. This is such an interesting idea that I feel like I've never done before, but it looks really cool. Like, it actually turned out kind of how I saw it in my head. So here are my cute little characters, and they can walk along the path, and they're walking towards the beast. So cool. I feel like I like it this way better because Wirt's actually kind of looking at the beast too, which is cool. But yeah, I'm just obsessed with these. Like, they look so freaking cool. Here's my second page. I actually think this is my favorite page of all of them. It's so simple, but I feel like it just looks cool, and I love the texture of it. Love this little header too. And here are my habit tracker and my moments pages. I feel like these pages always look so blank, but at the end of the month, they'll look way better because they'll actually be filled in and they'll look more full. But that is it for my Over the Garden Wall bullet journal theme. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed hanging out while I made this adorable over the garden wall theme. If you love the show and you want to recreate this theme, I would love to see your pictures on Instagram or on TikTok. You can always tag me. And as always, if you have requests for videos in the future or future bullet journal themes, you can always leave those in the comments here. I am often taking requests and suggestions from followers for what journal themes I should do next, and I would love to hear your ideas. And if you want to see some more from me, I recommend you follow me over on Instagram and on TikTok, where I post a lot more frequently. I share about bullet journaling, but I also show a lot of my other hobbies, including crafting, graphic design, illustration, nails, makeup, music, sewing, all of that stuff. You can follow me on Instagram at graciecreates and on TikTok at graciecreates, and I will see you next time. Bye!